What if everything we've been told about Meghan Markle's royal motherhood was never real to begin with? Not just fan theories or social media gossip, we're talking about claims from her own father and brother. Allegations that shake the entire story of Archie and Lilibet to its core. From missing medical records to belly bumps that don't behave like they should, the questions keep piling up. How did Meghan go from alleged infertility and frozen eggs to presenting 2 children as royal heirs without a single verified photo of her in a delivery room? The palace has stayed silent, the press won't touch it, but the public has started connecting dots no one was meant to notice. In this video, we're diving into the whispers behind the scenes, unusual timelines, rumors of surrogacy, body doubles, and a growing belief that something just doesn't add up. And once you start looking closely, it's hard to unsee it. Let's start with the claims that set this entire mystery in motion. It all begins long before Meghan ever met Prince Harry. Thomas Markle, her father, publicly claimed that Meghan froze her eggs years ago. A decision many women make, but one that takes on new weight in this context. Then her brother added something far more serious. She allegedly underwent a hysterectomy while still married to her first husband, Trevor Engelson. If those claims are true, they completely contradict the public story of her later pregnancies. How do you go from surgical infertility to 2 healthy children without any mention of medical miracles or surrogacy? It's a quiet crack in the perfect narrative, one that's easy to dismiss until you realize it came straight from her own family. They might be estranged, but they weren't always. And they knew her before the spotlight. These claims might have been brushed off years ago. But now, with growing scrutiny, they feel less like gossip and more like buried truths. And the next clue? It's all about the money. Here's the part no one ever talks about. How is Meghan affording all this? Egg freezing isn't cheap. We're talking about $8,000 to $9,000 a month just to store them. And that's after the initial procedure. But back when she supposedly did it, Meghan was still a struggling actress. She had small roles, limited screen time on Suits, and no signs of major savings. Her lifestyle didn't exactly scream financial security, so where was that money coming from? Was someone helping her behind the scenes? Or was it part of a longer-term plan we weren't supposed to see? This isn't about judging choices, it's about the strange disconnect between public image and private reality. When you follow the money, the story starts to warp, because if she couldn't afford to store eggs for years, what exactly was used later on? The deeper you go, the more the timeline starts to fall apart. And that's where we head next, because things only get more confusing from here. Let's talk timelines. If Meghan's eggs were stored, then possibly lost, and if surgery made natural birth impossible, how did she suddenly show up with 2 biological kids? There's no clear path, no medical explanations, no transparent narrative, just silence. And that silence has made fans start digging. Public appearances, baby bump photos, official statements, they all get picked apart now, frame by frame. The pieces don't quite fit together. Even the pregnancy announcements feel oddly staged, like something designed to sell a moment rather than capture real life. Critics point out inconsistencies, how fast things happened, how little we saw, and how much was controlled. Was there a surrogate? Was adoption involved? Or was it something even more orchestrated? Whatever the truth is, it's buried under polished press releases and a royal family that isn't talking. But body language tells a different story, and so do the kids themselves. That's where we're headed next. Watch Meghan with her children closely. Something feels off. In public appearances, she rarely hugs them, rarely laughs with them, rarely shows the kind of spontaneous affection most parents can't help but display. Instead, everything feels posed, cold, staged. It's like she's playing the role of mother rather than living it. There's barely any footage of her casually interacting with her kids. No messy moments, no tantrums, no peanut butter stains on her shirt, just glossy perfection. And when the kids do appear, something else sparks questions. They seem to look different from one sighting to the next. Their features, height, even their mannerisms, fans swear they've changed dramatically within short time frames. That's led to whispers of something even stranger. What if the kids we see aren't always the same kids? Too far-fetched? Maybe, but it gets weirder from here, because the next moment that broke the internet was caught on camera, and it wasn't subtle. You've probably seen the clip, Meghan bending over and her belly, instead of moving naturally, folds in on itself. That video went viral in seconds and earned the nickname Moon Bump. People started asking, was it a prosthetic? And if so, why? Around the same time, reports surfaced of possible body doubles being used during appearances with children, especially at places like Disneyland. Sharp-eyed fans noticed kids with different shoes, hairlines, even skin tones. These weren't minor differences. They were jarring. And all of it took place during a time when pandemic restrictions meant hospitals weren't allowing visitors or press inside, which meant Meghan could avoid all the usual proof. No press on the steps, no photographers, no hospital staff verifying a birth. It was the perfect storm for secrecy. And if you think that's wild, wait until you hear how she talks about motherhood. Because her interviews raise just as many red flags. Meghan's interviews on motherhood should be warm, emotional, even messy, but instead they often feel strangely detached. When she talks about Archie or Lilibet, her tone is polished, robotic, like she's reading from a carefully crafted script. There's little emotion, no fond memories, no spontaneous smiles or tearful moments, just surface-level phrases, practiced responses, and tight smiles. Even her own father has commented that something's off. It's like watching someone talk about being a parent rather than actually living it. And the more interviews she gives, the more this pattern stands out. She never dives into personal details or shares those relatable parenting stories. Sleepless nights, baby giggles, first words. It's all vague, like the whole experience is being described secondhand. And when you stack this alongside the lack of candid family moments, it raises an uncomfortable question. Is she avoiding the details because there's something to hide? And if so, why isn't the media pushing harder? Here's the real twist. Despite all the oddities, the mainstream media hasn't touched the story. No deep investigations, no challenging questions. For someone constantly in the spotlight, Meghan's pregnancies and births were practically invisible. No hospital photos, no public confirmation from medical staff, no official documentation released. Even paparazzi, who follow celebrities nonstop, never caught a single candid shot of her visibly pregnant in the wild. That's almost impossible. And when fans started asking questions, the press either ignored them or dismissed them as conspiracy talk. But confusion keeps growing. Why the media blackout on something so public? Why the silence from royal reporters who usually cover every detail, down to what brand of lotion Kate uses? It feels like a wall went up, and no one wants to admit they see the cracks. But the public isn't backing down. In fact, they've started doing the work themselves. And what they've found next is hard to ignore. Let's talk about the footage. In multiple clips, Meghan's baby bump moves in ways that defy logic. In one clip, as she bends down to sit, her belly folds, visibly, unnaturally. That's not speculation. It's on video, slowed down, and analyzed frame by frame. Some call it lighting, others say fabric, but plenty of observers point to one theory: the bump wasn't real. That's when whispers about surrogacy exploded online. People started comparing footage from different events, the shape of the bump, its position, even how Meghan carried herself. And nothing seemed consistent. In one moment, she appears 6 months along. A few days later, barely showing. These aren't subtle shifts, they're visual inconsistencies that fuel the theory that this was all carefully curated. If a surrogate was used, fine, but why hide it? Why lie when transparency would have prevented all of this? That's the question people are starting to ask. And the paperwork? That's even murkier. Now let's look at the documents. Because even the paperwork has people scratching their heads. Archie and Lilibet's birth certificates included royal titles that aren't standard in the US system. And according to leaked reports, those documents were allegedly adjusted more than once after being filed. That's not normal. US immigration and legal authorities reportedly reached out to the palace for clarification. Even they were confused about what was being presented. And remember, Harry and Meghan had already stepped back from royal duties. So why the sudden rush to stamp HRH on two kids who weren't even in the line of succession yet? It feels less like tradition and more like branding. A power move to secure status before doors started closing. And behind the scenes, whispers say Charles was pushed into approval, despite the late Queen opposing it. Which leads to the next major question. Was Harry fully aware of what was happening? Or was he part of the plan all along? Harry hasn't hesitated for a second. He's backed Meghan's motherhood narrative without blinking, defending her decisions, pushing for royal titles, and presenting the image of a united family. But that confidence raises eyebrows. If he knew about the supposed egg freezing, the surgery, the timeline issues, why play along? Was he protecting Meghan, or was he actively shaping the story himself? Sources say he was the one who insisted on titles for the kids, even when the Queen expressed concern. Others claim he saw it as a way to maintain relevance after walking away from royal duties. Either way, his silence on the rumors, the strange footage, the changing stories has turned heads. Because if something was hidden, Harry either helped cover it up or refused to ask questions. And that's a hard thing to ignore, especially when everything points to a bigger motive, one that has little to do with love and everything to do with legacy. So, let's ask the real question. Why would anyone go to such extreme lengths? Egg freezing, title confusion, public deception, just to craft this narrative? Theories point to one answer: brand value. Royal children aren't just family, they're legacy, a lifelong asset that guarantees attention, influence, and financial potential. Having HRH stamped next to a child's name is like holding a golden ticket in the world of global PR. Whether you're writing memoirs, signing Netflix deals, or launching wellness empires, royal offspring keep the spotlight glowing. The authenticity? That becomes secondary. All that matters is perception. If the public believes the fairy tale, the system works. And that's what makes this entire situation so chilling. Because if these kids weren't biologically theirs or were born through alternative means, the only thing that mattered was making people think they were. It's not about truth, it's about image. And the more you peel back, the more carefully constructed it all appears. Footage doesn't lie, and when you study Meghan's body language around her kids, things get off. In several clips, she holds them awkwardly, arms stiff, gaze distracted. No messy mom moments, no wild toddler tantrums, not even the usual chaos you'd expect with two small kids. What's more telling? The ever-present handlers. Whether at events, on walks, or during interviews, there's always someone hovering nearby, ready to swoop in and redirect. That's not typical parenting. It feels orchestrated, like a production crew running a tight set. And the emotional moments? They're missing. No spontaneous giggles, no clumsy kisses, no captured moments of pure chaos or joy, just polished appearances that feel more like photo ops than family time. The kids are there, but never quite in the moment. And that's where doubt creeps in. Are these real family dynamics? Or is this just another layer of the illusion? At first, it was just whispers. Then, side-by-side comparisons started surfacing. Dates, outfits, timelines. Suddenly, fans noticed the kids looked subtly different in close time frames. Archie's hair texture seemed to shift. Lilibet's eye color appeared to change. And when users began stitching together appearances, questions turned into patterns. Why did Meghan carry Lilibet like a prop in one clip, then avoid eye contact entirely in another? Why did paparazzi shots show different-looking toddlers labeled as Archie within the same month? The inconsistencies are small, but they stack. Now, online communities are deep in investigation mode, tracking footage, matching events, reviewing statements. It's no longer fringe speculation, it's collective curiosity. And every time a new clip drops, it adds fuel to the fire. People aren't just doubting the story, they're dissecting it. And the deeper they go, the harder it is to explain everything away. Just when the pressure starts to build, something flashy always seems to pop up. A quirky interview, a viral dance, a sudden appearance at a red carpet event. Coincidence? Maybe, but patterns don't lie. The infamous twerking video of Meghan, which went viral almost overnight, dropped right as speculation about the children reignited. Paparazzi stories are conveniently planted when rumors grow too loud. Lighthearted PR moments push the focus off the strange gaps and back onto Meghan's image. It's a classic bait and switch. Distract the public with entertainment, while quietly burying the deeper questions. But here's the problem. It's not working anymore. Viewers are catching on. They're recognizing the timing, the tactics, the carefully engineered chaos. And instead of calming the storm, these distractions only confirm what people already suspect, that someone's working overtime to keep the illusion alive. But even smokescreens have their limits. You can only keep the curtain up for so long before the seams start to show. Meghan and Harry still use royal branding, their titles, and their curated family image, but they've rejected the very duties that once justified those privileges. The palace, for now, remains silent. But silence, in a case this strange, doesn't just look suspicious, it looks complicit. If this entire story, from the pregnancies to the parenting, is a carefully constructed image, then we're not just looking at a celebrity scandal. We're looking at a royal deception, one that involves legacy, power, and international reputation. And when this illusion finally falls apart, it won't be subtle. It'll leave a mark. The public's trust, the monarchy's credibility, even the future of royal influence in America, all of it could unravel in the fallout. The only question is, how long can they keep the act going before the truth forces its way to the surface? We're at a tipping point. Doubts are no longer whispers, they're conversations. From frozen eggs to mysterious belly folds, from robotic interviews to eerily silent hospital records, nothing adds up. Meghan and Harry's refusal to address the swirling questions only intensifies the storm. The media may stay quiet, the palace may look away, but the public sees what's happening. And when the truth breaks through, whether next week or next year, it won't just stain reputations. It could fracture the monarchy's image in ways no scandal has before. This isn't just about two kids or one family. It's about trust, illusion, and what happens when millions of people realize they've been watching a well-produced fairy tale, not a real one. So now, we wait. Because the calm we're seeing right now, it might just be the last breath before the collapse.